but it seems to him, this pleasure that he sees, shema shenir sheyesh behem tanug, is a sheker. Is a sheker. If he thinks about it as a sheker, Hashem's book made it so clear through modern medicine, in our days, in our times, that something like smoking kills a person. This goes back already for many, many years, and despite the fact that it's very, very clear that that's a klipa that mamish kills you, it kills you. That nevertheless, that klipa, I've never smoked, but the people that I know, there was a very dear friend of mine, a Chassidish Yid, a very big Talmid Chacham, that was nifter 2 years ago, when we never stopped smoking when we were growing up, and he always made chayzik of all the warnings and this. I mean, he died. He wasn't even 70. From that, his lungs couldn't take it, and I asked him, so what is it? He used to sit the whole time was smoking. I said, what? I said, what's the pleasure that you describe to me? This pleasure. I tried once when I was like 16. What it tastes. I said, tell me, what is this pleasure? So he says to me, I can't explain it, but it's not. It really is. The taste is horrible. And he was talking about how disgusting it is, how horrible it is. But there's something. You see, even the way that the people try to talk about it's all the shanas of sheker. Something that's clear. Like if you learn like a shmaka piece of Gemara, or you learn, a machlekes Rambam and Ravid, and you go through a good Pnei Yeshua or something, it's pretty easy to explain, like why that's such a tanug. What the tanug is, what the pleasure is. And if you can't communicate it, it's not because it's not there, or it's not because it disappeared. It's because it's so deep that it's something which you can't express. Same thing with people with that alcohol, the schnapps. Again, I'm an outsider because I can't understand what is it people like about that. And when I ask people what is it you like about that, they also don't seem to like it. Now, I don't know, maybe somebody understands this Indian of liquor. I don't understand it. I ask people, it's all the diburim of the Alma de Shikra, of trying. They always say you have to develop a taste. That was always they say you have to develop a taste. But these are all things from the Alma de Shikra. It's the whole thing is a sheker, and it's at the risk of ruining a person's life. People ruin and destroy their lives. And if a person is mevatel the koach klipa, because when you talk to somebody who's broken through that and has overcome that klipa, for the first time, they're actually enjoying their lives. They're actually enjoying their lives. They feel good. They feel healthy. Their relationships are not messed up because they're not living in that addiction, in that haze. They feel good. If I would have known this, I would have done this years ago. What do you mean? You don't you like the taste of that bourbon? Don't you like the taste of that schnapps? You like that taste? That's big tonic, that schnapps. And you gave up your whole life. Your kids left you. Your wife left you. You lost your parnasa for that tonic. It's an amazing thing. The klipa, the koach of a klipa like that. I'm not even talking about when it comes to Gilei Arayos, these things, which is a much deeper sugya. But a klipa to taste something, or a person is so overweight, and the doctors are begging him, and his family is begging him, and he can't, for that moment of tasting that ice cream or that cake, for that moment, it's a klipa. He's losing everything. And then if somehow he's able to overcome that, and he loses weight, and he's working out, and he's feeling good, he says, "This is gewaltig," and everybody's so excited, and you see him a month later, I got back another 80 pounds. It's such a sheker, the whole thing. Vayideshem is batal korach haklipa. When you mevatel the korach haklipa. See, a lot of the things that are being used, the methods that are being used to overcome bad habits, are not being mevatel the klipa. Because the ikar inyan to be mevatel the klipa is what? Seichel. The ikar thing is seichel. Seichel. That's how to mevatel klipas, but seichel. But people, they feel that they can't do that, so they try to use all different kinds of methods to overcome their habits, but not seichel. There needs to be something else, some artificial external way of preventing me from going after this tanuk. So now people will go through medical procedures so they'll lose their appetite. In other words, I don't know much about these procedures, but you're messing with the body. It couldn't be it's a safe, great thing to do. But people that are very overweight, so they're getting these different like bands, like medical procedure, which there are certain sfekas, I was told, that it could be not good. So what does that do? So that they should feel full. I don't know if I'm not. Yeah. They should feel full, and then they won't feel that they're going to get a tanug from eating. Instead of with the seichel, this is bad for me. I can get a heart attack any minute. I want to enjoy my children, my grandchildren, my life. That doesn't work. If the seichel hadavar, which is a seichel poshet, is not able to do it, so to go to get a medical procedure, which is questionable and dangerous, as a way of convincing me that I'm not going to have a tanug. Or this is not giving me pleasure because I lost my appetite. So I have to have somebody else take away my appetite. Some doctor's got to cut something, to tie something, whatever they do, so that I shouldn't have an appetite. Not that I could overcome the appetite, that they should take away my appetite. It's sad.
I spoke to a woman with those things. She said certain foods get her sick. If she eats them, she just crosses her, like ice cream. She says she just crosses her fingers, then she won't get sick. Half the time, it doesn't work anyway. It's crazy.
I'm saying, but with cigarettes, with drinks, you know that it's killing you. But so that's not how you mevatel the klipa. He's talking about the validation is batel koach haklipa. The way to be mevatel the koach haklipa is with the seichel, with understanding, and with the seichel, and being a mammon, and using the koachas that Hashem gave you to mevatel that klipa. And a person doesn't need to have medical intervention to be mevatel a klipa. You need seichel. Chazak. Seichel. I'm not even talking about intelligence, because they're very, very bright people who are lost in this parsha. But a strong ability to be misbeinen in the reality of that moment. And then Vayima Ein, like Yosef Atzadik, Vayima Ein. And he refused. Vayima Ein. And to refuse. Because you made a decision. Not that you don't have the strength to make a decision, so you have to have a doctor that's going to tie up your stomach or something. You made a decision. What do you mean you're going to keep on eating? So this lady, she puts some ice cream in her stomach. So don't eat it. There's no one's making you eat it. Don't eat it. I was told you when we were younger, so my sister, in those years, so that she wanted a diet. She was a teenager, the girls were dieting. So my father saw some book that my sister got from the library about dieting. My father couldn't be massing it. I remember this conversation. My father said, "Stop eating the chocolate bars." Hershey's, Kisses, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if they make them anymore, but they go fast. My father said, "Stop eating them."
Like Rabbi tells over.
We're getting a book. Yeah.
Like Rabbi tells over a story with your mother smoking. How she stopped in a minute when
I was allergic. My mother stopped smoking. My mother also was every minute was walking around with a cigarette. When I was a little kid with a cigarette, and then when she found out that it was hurting me, that it was hurting herself, she couldn't stop. Because at that time in the 60s, they already knew it was bad. But my mother still couldn't stop, and she tried to do different things that they had those times. All kinds of options, like I don't know what things had making it taste bad. They had different ways of trying to stop. My mother couldn't stop smoking, and then Moshe got sick because I had this allergy with the cigarette, and she said not only she didn't, the Tayva was completely gone. She said she couldn't look at a cigarette. It made her, the thought of taking a cigarette made her sick when she found out that it was hurting me. Why? And the klipa in a second disappeared. The klipa disappeared. Because there was a hisgabrus of this understanding that this is affecting my kid, and it was such a hisgabrus of that understanding because the doctor said this is what he's suffering from. And it wasn't just that then she has the rest of her life that she was done, it was finished. She didn't come back to it after I left the house. She didn't come back to it. It was done. The whole thing was a klipa. And it's so clear. That's what it is. It's all sheker. So the tanug that you have by overcoming the klipa is that the nitzoitz velikus is then that's what you are able to ingest. The elokus that comes with the hisgabrus, that with doing the Ratzon Hashem at that moment, whether it's a matter of health or Isser, but that elokus is Yotze Lechavshi, Uba El Misha Hotzio. And the person was able to rescue that elokus that was hidden in that inyan, whatever that was. He was able to bring out the elokus through the hisgabrus, to draw out the elokus, to be connected to the elokus, to understand and to say, this is sheker, it's a klipa, I'm going for the elokus. I'm going for the elokus, that's the shurish of this whole appearance of Tanug. And vayima ein, I'm not going to do this. And then there's that feeling, that unbelievable feeling of overcoming something that comes with drawing in that or of elokus. Okay, there's a long note here, Reish Ayin Daled. Let's learn it. Reish Ayin Daled. HaKlippus inyonim lahastir es amitas Hashem Yisborach. The purpose of klippus is, of course, to create these nisyanis and to hide by hiding the truth of Hashem's presence. That's what a klippa does. A klippa means a shell, a covering. The meaning of a klippa is always to give the impression as if there are other things that exist, there are other kaiches besides Hashem. Just like the snake in Gan Eden, the klipa is there to seduce the person to aveirus, or unhealthy behavior, dangerous behavior. The way the klipa works is with the imagination, to create an impression that there's tov and tanug, that there's inherent tov, that there's actual tov in the cigarette, or in this isser of that girl, whatever it is, or in that food that's aser, that there's inherent tov and tanug. Kilo, that food that you're not supposed to be eating, that food itself is a makar of tanug. That's what it's a makar. It has its own tanug, it's an independent source of pleasure. that food or that isser. It's an independent source of tanug. It has built-in tanug. Every advertisement for every food, all the advertisements are to give that impression, to strengthen that klipa, that this chefze, this thing, is filled with pleasure. It has a metzias of pleasure in it. All the advertising is to do that. V'im shama lahem chalila, v'halach achrei taivas v'averes. And if the person goes for this and follows this tayva, on a deeper level, it means that you believe that there is a makar of tov and tanug other than HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what it means. There's a makar of tov, of tanug, other than Hashem. And when the person falls for that, he's entering into a mahalach, a zone. That's the word they use nowadays. He lives in a world where he imagines that there is a koach atzmi, that there is an independent koach to the klipos and the teva. Independent koach to klipos and the teva. That's really the world of Yovan. That's the 1 second. That's the whole mitzias of Yovan. That's the world of Yovan. That klipos, this impression. And the Yevanim, they intensified the challenge of klipos to a place of the intellect, not just physical tanug, but intellectual tanug. Intellectual tanug. Which is even more confusing because it's more refined. All kinds of chachmas chitzonias, all kinds of intellectual klipos. There it's even more confusing because of the refinement and because we're talking about the world of ideas and you spend your whole life talking narishkai, sheker. But here the sheker is not like a piece of treif or a boss of adam. The sheker is already something which is. I was at a Chanukah Mesiva the other day. The mishpacha, there's one of the family members always likes to talk about the different things and he read different in the chachmas, which I used to read a lot when I was young, and so I didn't see him in a while, but he wanted to talk about some of these ideas that he read about. And I said, do me a favor, it's Chanukah, I don't want to talk this. And he was surprised because when we were younger, because we know family, so go back all the years. He said, we're always talking and harving and fighting and discussing these, philosophy and different, artificial intelligence. He wanted to talk about different inyanim. And I said, no, I don't have a chesed fit. Just pass a donut or something. Take that Tayva instead. I don't have a Tayva for it anymore. It's like, tired of it. What did it give me? I told him, because it was Jewish stuff, it was intellectual stuff, but not it had the levushim of Torah, but it wasn't holy. It was different. I don't want to mention names of different Jewish thinkers and stuff like this that I read when I was younger. I used to read all this stuff. And I said to him that right now, listen, we're both already gray, we're getting older, we don't know how much time is left. Just to try to say bracha with kavani, stop talking about this stuff. Stop not talk about it anymore. I'm done with it. It didn't do anything for me. What did it do for me? All those years of reading 1,000,000 books, what I have from confusion, bilbulim, stam, some sharp idea, and then to be able to argue about it at a Chanukah party. It's a Yavindike Tayva, and it's more confusing than the donut. It's more difficult to challenge than the donut because if you're a person that likes to think, it's very, very exciting. It's all klip awesome. So talking about ideas that come from the Alma the Shikr, from Sheker. Sheker, all Alma the Shikr, all Munavalim Mushchasim and Apikosim and Kaifrim that were sitting here writing a book, and you're standing there 80 years, 100 years after the book was written, and you're still talking about these Diburim, Lakilas, Sheker. What do you get? What comes from all of these Diburim? What happened to all of the papers that have been written in history? Where are all the papers? The college papers that have been written in history? Diburim, Shkarim, come from nothing. All Yavin Dikazach, nothing. It's gewaltig to think. Listen to daven and to learn Torah and to. I'm sorry, say something.
I was just gonna ask Rabbi, what would be the mistake in thinking that I like the way that Hashem's Or manifests in this kli?
Oh, if you bring Hashem into it, and you keep Hashem clear in the center of it, then you're like the Rambam describes the person who loves Hashem by looking at the world and that fills you with greater love for Kadosh Baruch Hu. But if Hashem is not in the center of it, it's like when you have, like some guy that he says he wants to go to some secular place to study whatever, and because he wants to, he says because the Rambam also studied these things. Like, what do you think, you're like a little Maimonides or something? What you're going to find in Binghamton are girls, not Maimonides, not God. You're not going to Binghamton for God. If you want the Rebbeinu Shalom, you can find them right here in the 5 towns. You can find them anywhere in the world. You're going. Don't tell me the Rambam also studied these things. The Rambam was an Ish Kodesh Tzaddik Yisod Olam, and by him, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was the light of Hashem was shining in everything that he looked at, including when he looked at Aristotle, to break through that klipa for Am Yisrael, which he did. He saw Hashem everywhere he looked, the Rambam. And everywhere you look, you're going to see a shiksa. That's what you're going to see over there. I'm sorry to talk like that. That's what you're going to see to go up to Binghamton. Not for some reason, a lot of guys ended up in Binghamton. I don't know what's over there. It's my race because I'm from town. I don't mean to insult Binghamton. Some university. But that's when I was going up to the guys that didn't want to stay in yeshiva. They wanted to get away from home. They went somewhere far away to go to. And we didn't have a sagis then of going like to California, but New York, but far away in New York. For what? The Rambam also studied math. The Rambam also studied philosophy. What are you, the Rambam? What are you talking about the Rambam? The Rambam, everything he looked at, he saw HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Everything he studied, everything he saw. You're right. But then what you're doing is you're seeing the elokus. There's the Rambam's reason for seeing those, for seeing those things, for looking at those things, and studying those things was to find God. Not the external Talmud. It was to find HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But if you're not the Rambam, you have to be very, very careful that you don't get lost in the klipas. Because Hashem is not at the center of your rotzen to read that or to see that. So there's a very big difference. Of course, you're right. It's there. That's what we're learning. It's there. The Or Hashem is in everything. Mamish in everything. But that has to be your rotzen. That's what you want. But that's exactly what he's talking about. Look what he says. But if Hashem is not at the center of what you're looking for, then you get sidetracked and you just fall into that place of klipas and teva, of the klipas and of teva, nature. That's what you want and that's what you get. Because Hashem gives you what you're looking for. Even though the truth is, that everything is Hashem. Like you say, that Hashem is there. Nevertheless, a person has a choice what to think, what to look for, what you're thinking about, what's on your mind. That's your choice. Hashem doesn't make you think anything. It's your choice. A person who has entered into that mahalach, kilu yesh koch atzmi l'teva, kilu there is an independent pleasure in this book, in this piece of food, in that, or that issa, whatever it is, there's some independent koch atzmi of teva. Azai misnagi mumabofin shebemis ken yirlu. That's how it appears to you more and more to have that mitzias. It just seems more and more to have that mitzias of being a source of pleasure, a source of excitement. If a person, like when it comes to one of the less harmful pleasures that men indulge in, boys, men that didn't grow up indulge in, which is sports. I'm not talking about playing. Playing is very healthy. It's good. I'm talking about watching these animals run around. And if you think about it with seichel, but you don't think about it with seichel, because since the time that you're a kid, this is an Indian, and then the season comes, and there you are again, like rooting for people to throw a ball into to get some mutations to go from this yard to go to another yard, and finally to make it to another place at the end, and the person sees in this, feels in this a tanug of screaming that brings to screaming, into excitement, into intense pleasure, that a person can't imagine life without this pleasure. And grown men that don't. I was a big sportsman growing up. I don't see grown men that haven't gotten past that. That they still get like this thrill. I'm not talking about like a fondness for your old team. I'm talking about at the age of 40, 50, 60, still sitting around and watching it and going out of your kelim. How is that possible? To watch a couple of guys running around in their gachkas throwing a ball. How is it possible? For what? What is it? But the seichel doesn't work. It's a habit. It's a type of an addiction. And then there's the admiration of the player. Like the admiration of celebrities. And with movies, all these things are sheker. And all the excitement that comes with this is all sheker. So a person just buys into that mahalach of teva, of sheker, of the klipa, and you don't outgrow it. And you're going to ask them to bury you, at 120, that they should put you in tachrichim that has a Yankee emblem on it. Kodesh says, no, it's not our custom, we don't do it. For $500 you'll do it. Bury me in a Yankee tachrichim. Till going down, lowering him, and he's holding like a little flag, a little banner. For what? From sheker. It's an amazing thing to think about it. If you use your seichel and stop allowing yourself to slip into that little boy, and you use your mature adult seichel eloki to analyze what this is, and why are you wasting time with this? Why do you think about this? Why do you look at it? Why do you care about it? What does it mean? What is this klipa of some 6'8" animal running around, dribbling and dunking? What does it mean? What is it? The whole world's fakayft with these things. What does it mean? But you don't use seichel. Because you just go into that mahalach of Yavan, of Teva, and the Tayva, and here, because there's no Aveira, to watch somebody play ball, it's not an Aveira. You're not seeing anything that's asa to see. So, maybe the commercials are asa, that could be. But the thing itself, if a guy throwing a ball into a basket, it's not an issue. Or if two guys killing each other on a football field, it's not an issue to see such a thing. But that's something, by the way, I once mentioned to you that a lot of the I see this growing up, that one of the only things my father ever watched on television was wrestling. The strange thing. It was very much out of character. And I found that from friends of mine that this was especially with the Greeners, that they used to watch wrestling. My father watched wrestling. They had sometimes on a Moshe Shabbos. I don't remember what it was for. He watched it for like a half hour. He just sat there, he watched it for a half hour, and that was the end of it. Didn't jump or anything like that. Just watched it. And I asked him when I was older. My father said, "You like to watch them kill each other." Right, wrestling and boxing. See that? That was the only thing that he used to watch. It's an interesting thing. See, he didn't understand like why we were all watching baseball and why we were into basketball. He just couldn't understand. He used to think it was crazy how the guys who would sit around the television screaming. But wrestling and boxing, my father, there's an Indian over there in wrestling and boxing. It's an interesting thing. But this is the klipa that once you're in that klipa, it's very, very hard to overcome that klipa. Mordechai?
This door has the next level because the world has given these athletes a platform so people can be actually have a day. In other words, it used to be.
Well, that started. Yeah, sure. The celebrities too. The Hollywood.
Right, but now it's to the extreme where their children are growing up, listening to these people and getting their world. All the hashkafas are coming from the Beis HaKisei. Exactly.
All the hashkafas from the Beis HaKisei.
And these are their idols.
But so you see that. Stop and think about who this person is. What entitles him to have an opinion about anything other than bouncing a ball? When it comes to how to bounce a ball, Amayda,
You're gifted.
Yeah, and he's the guy to talk to. If you want to know how to make that thing go back and forth without losing it, he's the guy to talk to. Amayda that. But other than doing that, like what exactly are your credentials to talk about world politics? What are your credentials? It's not complicated. It's Sechel Pashut. Or any of these Hollywood celebrities. What gives you the right to have a Episcopal? Yes, that you know how to make believe on a screen. I understand there's a talent. Other than that, everybody sees that you're not managing your own life.
Right.
Everybody sees that your life is a shambles. Everybody sees that you have nothing. You have nothing. You're an empty shell of a person that has destroyed your life. And we all see that. Uvacholzos, we want to know, what is your opinion about? So there's all of this is the sheker is so strong, the dimion of the klipa is so strong. And it creates that a different mitzvah, a virtual reality, which now they use that term, virtual reality, which is a good way of putting it. It's all a virtual reality. The reality is ein od milvado, and when a person's mind is able to be attached to that reality, then the virtual reality is a klipa that just falls away. It just falls away. What?
Hashem puts games and competition in the world for a purpose. And there's
It's the same question. It's the same thing that Ari was saying. Everything has a purpose. Right, so?
Just to write it off as a sheker is very difficult for me because Hashem puts a game in people for a real purpose. What that purpose, the real purpose is, the holy purpose, I'm not so sure, but it's obvious that Hashem put this in because it's not logical, as Rabbi just said.
So, what? Can you answer that question? Are you asking a question? Do you want to answer it? Do you need me to answer it? Answer the question, Doug.
He puts it in for a test, so life should be exciting. Is that so we could win? From Tzara Agra, Hashem makes it very hard, so we could overcome and get rewarded. Is that an answer?
that doesn't satisfy you, that's because you're losing. If it doesn't satisfy you, it means because you're losing. Look, I tell you. I don't mean that's personal, God forbid. I'm saying that we're talking. That means that you've lost. The way you said, even the way you asked the question, is Hashem created, must be for something. So you're saying it's just because of Bechir. What you just, when you said the words, because it's like we should have this Nisayan, that's the whole Ramchal, Mesil Shasharim, Der Hashem, Das Tfunis, the whole Kisveri, and the way you said it was like you're talking about that reason. Look how it works. Yes, that's the reason. No, that doesn't work for you.
I didn't know
The reason you think that it's not a big deal is because you're losing to it, and that's part of the advertisement.
No, I'm asking if there's anything
I mean,
more to it, or does
I'm only
have a little bit
torturing
of a
you
handle
to
on
make
it?
a point. You understand?
Do I have a little bit of a handle on it, or is there more to it?
I'm torturing you to make a point.
Okay.
So be mindful. It's just for everybody should understand. I know you. Unfortunately, I usually pick on you, but you're very humble. So you should be mindful. I hope you're mindful. The Hashem made it for a reason. That's what I said. Ari said, yeah, Hashem made the trees and the birds, and Hashem made the snow and the sun. Hashem made everything for a reason. It's not just that He made it for a reason. It's all Him. It's all Him. And in the football and the baseball, He made games. So He made hopscotch, not just NFL. He also made Scrabble and Monopoly. Much safer than playing tackle football, right? He made everything. Eino milvado. And everything contains within it that reality of Elokus. So when you said he made these games for a reason, yes, He made these games for a reason. They don't have an independent, self-standing reason. The same way that if you're trying to sell something and you're in marketing and you want to sell something, you build up an advertising campaign, right? This doesn't really have any independent mitzias. What is advertising?
To convince you that you want to buy that thing.
Nachon.
Convince you.
Right.
Really that no people.
But that in of itself, this guy's in advertising. The guy makes millions of dollars a year. If he's good, he makes millions of dollars a year, and everybody knows that Inyan that he's doing is not anything independent and has no internal meaning or purpose other than what? Get you to buy it.
She's taking a want and making it a need. That's the whole business.
So it doesn't. Everybody, that there's no deeper meaning to that. Like when we were growing up, and every teenager, you watch television and they get some beautiful girl in a bathing suit, showing you the toothpaste that she uses. and I go, what is that? What does brushing your teeth have to do with being undressed and pretty? The teretz is, we're going to get the guys. And they did. And they do. All the time. And they walk into the store or they order online and they just are drawn to that toothpaste because somehow, like, that girl's going to be looking after my teeth. She'll notice my teeth. What?
She's coming out of the tree.
Your mom comes out. But look how it works. And the guy that made this thing, the guy that wrote the script for the commercial, is Gewaldig. And there's no Metzias to this. There's no girl in the world that's standing around in a bathing suit. Like, it doesn't exist. And anybody that stops and thinks, that has a little bit of seichel, knows that it's all sheker. And yet, it's the best-selling toothpaste in the world. And who are the biggest customers? Boys between 16 and 35. How is that? Why did it work out Davka at that age? Why is it Davka at that age that seems that this toothpaste has been the most effective toothpaste? Why is it that it only whitens the teeth of men of that age?
Because they're looking to restructure in the society that's put on them every day. At that age, between 16 and 35, is probably the most impressive.
Yeah, but right, that's true. But ladies, what I'm talking about, because of the advertisement that works on their Dimion at that age, they're seeing that when that's what's the most important thing for them in their life is the girl in the bathing suit. So the women are not interested in this toothpaste. They just get the regular stuff. But the guys will go for it. And everybody knows that all these advertisements are stam dimyonis and sheker. So why did Hashem do this? It's all for the bechir. It's all for the sign. The Torah says yes. And if we don't understand that, and if you don't believe in that, then we fall for it. The same way that if you don't believe that the advertiser is just doing that to get you, you could just be another one of the idiots that goes to the store and thinks that that this is going to make you get the girl in the waiting for you on the street corner on Maple and Vine. She's just waiting for you to smile and says, "Oh, you must use Colgate Plus." I've been waiting my whole life for you. It's all
a test. The ad is a test. Keep it in the proper perspective.
Everything, all the klippas, all the surrounding shells, vessels, whether it's games or whether it's how you're going to get ahead in business, and that's going to make you into a happy person. Not working on yourself and working on your marriage and working on your learning and your davening, but becoming richer. That's going to make you into a happy person. It's all the same. It's all the same inyan of Yevanim nikbitzu alai, and to find the pach shemen, to find the jar of oil that's pure. Yes. This is a test. Just like it happened to Yosef Atzadik with the wife of Potiphar. This is a test. She also was saying, if you get this toothpaste, Yosef, this is a test. And vayima ein, and you become Yosef Atzadik. Not because automatically you become Yosef Atzadik. Because you spend your entire life looking for Kodesh Baruch, looking for the Pach Shem. And it's the searching itself that I was talking about yesterday. It's the searching itself that is the miracle of Chanukah. That itself is the search, the looking for the Pach Shem. Which I explained that's the Beis Yosef's questions before the Beis Yosef, but the question of why do we light 8 candles? Only be 7. The first day wasn't a miracle, right? So Pri Chodesh and others say the miracle was that they found it. That itself, but meaning that to look for that jar of oil. Now that jar of oil was surrounded by all the klippas of Yavin and all the tumah of Yavin, but they made a mess in the Beis Hamikdash. They were metami kol hashmana. And it was a miracle. The Jews didn't stop looking for it. They continued looking for it. They went past that klipa of Yavin and all the tumah and all the ugliness and all the advertising. They went past all the advertising and they looked for something in their lives that was real, and they found it. And that's where Chanukah comes from. And that's greater than the miracle of the oil that was able to burn for another 7 days. The very fact that they didn't give up looking for that truth, that's the most amazing thing in the world. That they didn't give up looking for that truth. They didn't give up. They didn't fall for the advertising of Yavin. They were falling for it. That's what was going on at that time. But they said, the Chashmonaim said, Mila Shem Elai. Mila Shem Elai. The Chashmonaim said, are there any Jews, Chaver, is there anybody besides us? Is there anybody else here that still wants to find that Nitzitz of Elokus in all of existence? That's what they were saying. Is there anybody here that still believes in the Ein Od Milvado? Are we the only ones? That's the Chashmonaim. And then you know what started to happen? Then this one said, I'm in. and then some other people said, I'm in. And then 1 million Jews says, we're in. That's Chanukah. Ein Od Milvado. There's a Pach Shemen. The advertisement of Yavin is a sheker. It's all a lie. It's a lie. It's a sheker. It's all dimyan. It's all klippas. And then what was it? All went away. It's gone. And it's a Pach Shemen, and it stayed lit. And Hashem said, this is the whole tachlis. Yeah, what you were saying, it's all a test. But not to say, well, this is all a test. Yes, it is. And then then they saw that all the advertising is, what is it? It's all sheker. It's all narishkeit. If you're a person, let's say, that hasn't watched television for many years, television now is not good. Now everybody has computers, but it used to be when we were growing up, television. And then I grew up with television, and then I stopped watching many years ago. And then when you're in that place, in that mahalach of not watching television, and let's say you're in the airport, right? You're in the airport, so you sit in the chair and you're waiting, and the news is on or something, and then there's a commercial. When you're out of that mahalach of television, and then you see it, it looks so silly. It looks so silly. Then you see it's just props and silly. Then you see the sheker of it. When you're out of it, you see the sheker of it. When you're in it, it's very hard to see the sheker. You need a seichel, chazak, to be able to see the sheker. When you're in it. Yeah, Chayim?
But that was really what I thought comes to mind is how does a fish get out of the fishbowl, right? There's a whole ocean out there. But the little fish goes back and forth, and he's happy.
He's happy in the fish tank.
He's happy in the fishbowl. It's a whole ocean to explore. Right? He's going back and forth. You see the fish going around and around.
That's his whole world.
How do you get him out of there?
Yeah. And then they put little picture inside. And you think the fish is saying, this reminds me of the Pacific. It can't get better than that. Right. And the Darkecha and a hair. 45 years old, you're still screaming about the Mets and the Yankees. You're going around the fishbowl. Sad. But when you're in it, you can't think otherwise. When you're out of it, you'll watch it, and it looks like a fishbowl. When you're out of it, you see something on the television, or you see with the sports they're running around. I look to see how is it that people are actually going for this. And again, I'm a big sports fan growing up. I'm not saying that. But when you're out of it, again, I'm not talking about throwing a ball around. That's a healthy, good thing to play ball. I'm not talking about that, to work out, to play ball. I'm talking about to get meshubit to it. But mamish like that mushel of just throwing around like that. And that fish feels like, can't get better than this, right? I have the tachlis hachayim. It cannot get better than this. When his cousins are in the Pacific Ocean. And he's in some fashtunkene bowl that they have to change the water, and he lies down the counter for 5 seconds. I've done this because my kids, every one of my kids at some point brought home from school a prize that they want a plastic bag with one goldfish in it. And then who ends up taking care of the dumb thing? I always had to change the water and put in. And you give too much food and it drops dead and it's floating on top. And I got to run out to the store to find another one. So my kid says, that's not the same fish. The other one is skin. He said, I have an achrayis for your fish. And for what? And it's all demyonis. I'm at the shikr.
And they get paid $80 million.
What?
And they get paid $80 million.
Who gets paid $80 million?
For you to be Fuksbrumer over this guy running around.
Oh, sure. They're not stupid. We're the idiots that follow them. All right. To be continued.